Now to Queensland, where about 12,000 insurance claims worth more than $400 million have already been lodged. That's likely to escalate in the days and the weeks ahead, with experts predicting the biggest natural disaster payout in the nation's history. But with investment bank UBS estimating that 60% of flood-affected homeowners in the state may not have flood cover in their insurance policies, there may be even more heartbreak to come. And some retailers are threatening to band together in a class action against their insurance companies. John Taylor reports from Brisbane.
In his inner Brisbane bicycle shop, owner John Pittendry is restocking. Floodwaters swept through here, almost to the ceiling.
The water's come to this mark we put on the wall up here. That's our 2011 flood level. Hopefully we don't have any subsequent flood level which goes above that or even lower than that.
With the help of friends and staff, he was able to save most of this stock from the filthy water, but the damage is obvious. The walls and wiring and things that make a building work will cost tens of thousands of dollars to repair. And what's stressing him now is insurance.
The best insurance for us is having a great network of people. The actual financial insurance has been pretty much useless.
The shop's insurance was purchased through a specialist broker, and it was only when he telephoned as his crisis was unfolding that John Pittendry realised he wasn't covered.
We purchase a package of insurance from them which has a list of different components which they've deemed appropriate for our industry. Unfortunately, one thing's been overlooked, which is flood. So, that's an exclusion to the policy and we just have to wear it.
The insurance industry is also facing criticism that policies are not clear in defining what sort of flood they are promising to cover, from rivers, drains or rain.
We're getting insurance companies playing silly buggers, basically hiding behind lawyer speak, fine print, and a lot of the promises that were made up front.
Queensland's flood crisis has affected thousands of businesses in more than 80 communities across Queensland. Scott Driscoll from the United Retail Federation says now that floodwaters have receded in many places, every business he talks to affected by floods has an insurance problem.
I'm talking to people that are heartbroken when they go and look at some of the things that they thought should have been in the policy, given the advice they were given, to hear from the insurers on the phone that, no, sorry, you're on your own. That is such a common story at the moment, and it is devastating.
His organisation is gearing up for a legal fight.
We are going to look at establishing an opportunity for those retailers that are affected and those households in those affected communities to join with a class action to make sure we get justice for the communities affected against these insurers trying to dodge the bullet.
We're used to dealing with these traumatic circumstances where everybody's got a high blood pressure around these things. This incident is no different to that. There's a appeals process for people to go through if they feel that they haven't been dealt with fairly, but the industry does have a fairly strict code of conduct or code of practice.
Carl Sullivan is the General Manager of Policy for Risk and Disaster with the Insurance Council of Australia. He says people should know what insurance they've purchased.
It is written in fairly plain English, and most policies it's covered right up front what's excluded and what's included in the policy.
In a sense, then, it's their own fault?
Well, look, some people, obviously don't have time to do their own checking and things like that. I think Australians can be a little complacent with this issue from time to time.
Thank you. Thank you.
But the insurance industry is coming under political pressure to pay money to flood-affected customers.
My message to the insurance industry would be to show the same kind of spirit the people of Australia have been showing as they've really pulled together in these very difficult circumstances.
Well, insurance is a product that's bought and sold with a set of very clear terms and conditions, but insurers do operate compassionately and sympathetically, and they'll be arriving at those decisions in accordance with the product that people have bought as quickly as possible.
That's the Beatles, complete collection.
It's not just small businesses that have been caught out on insurance. Do you have flood insurance?
I thought I did, but I don't. Look, maybe I didn't look into it as well as I should, but I thought I had.
It would be much more helpful if all home and contents carried flood cover. Now look, if you live at the top of a mountain, you're not likely to be flooded, but that means that your premium would be lower. So insurance companies price for risk. And at least if they talked in terms of a flood, which was a commonly used term that people actually understood, that would give greater clarity. And again, it would let people look at the policies and shop around and see where actually the best value lay.
Christopher Zinn from the consumer advocacy group Choice believes it's also time for a one-size-fits-all definition of flood.
I think the Old Testament had a very good definition of a flood, and basically it was water moving over an area and causing some damage or distress. Insurance companies, I'm afraid, look at this rather more closely, and they have different definitions.
There's a few. Most of them differ subtly. We did attempt some years ago to initiate a standard definition. The industry agreed on a standard definition. Unfortunately, that wasn't approved at the time, but we're talking again to government about how we might proceed with that.
Insurance is yet another issue that many Queenslanders are hoping that the Commission of Inquiry will address. But for businessman John Pettendry, what insurance companies do now will have obvious consequences.
If the insurers who are not currently providing cover don't do so and don't look after the people who have been paying them premiums for a lot of years, if they don't, then everyone's going to just be, there's going to be a mass exodus towards the providers who do.
That report from John Taylor.